I would like to welcome you to the June 6th meeting of the Board of Barnstable County Commissioners, and I ask that you rise and join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you would stay in place for a few moments while we remember all of our service people, men and women, who serve our country both here and abroad, and especially for those who have given their lives for us. Thank you. You can, it's better not to. Okay, we have public comment, and I know Lou Cataldo is here, and he has asked for just a few minutes to address the commissioners. And Lou, why don't you sit right there?
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Chair of the Commission,
Yes.
Commissioner Doherty, President Nixon,
Well, she'll be along.
we do extend also to her an invitation to the 11th annual presentation of the Mercy Over Warren Award. I understand there's a possibility you might come.
I will be there. Yes.
Chair.
Mhm.
Oh, we certainly would appreciate it. There is a Tales of Cape Cod has got a historical presentation between 7 and 8, and then at 8 o'clock we open up. And Kara, how is the program coming?
It's on my to-do list.
Will you give them a copy? Give the commissioners a copy? Thank you.
Well, that is June 11th.
June 11th,
June
Sunday,
11th,
Monday.
which is a Monday.
It's coming
My
Monday.
birthday too.
Oh, it's your birthday too?
Also,
Oh, wait a minute. Briefly, that's it, and hopefully within the next week or two, with the help of Mark, we have another presentation on another matter, and I hopefully think along with Attorney Joe there, that's another matter that I don't want to take up your time to decide.
before you go, we should tell the people that are watching that this is a wonderful event, and that and for people who might not know where Tales of Cape Cod is, it's a wonderful former church that's near the Sturgis Library, right here on Main Street, right beyond Barnstable Village.
And there'll be
I've been to it several times. It's a wonderful event. You really learn something about what goes on historically.
They will be sitting in a very historic building, which I acquired incidentally for $1 from the Baptist church people, and we've been using it since then.
Lou, you might
And I'll see our representative, we're just inviting them to the
Good.
thing, so you'll be there too.
Yeah, I'll be
Lou,
And will you be saying a few words?
Yes,
about-
I will be saying a few
Okay.
words.
So you might add that the building has a historic significance. It has a National Land Register tally on it that was the second oldest courthouse in the Massachusetts Bay Colony. It was built in 1772, and a major protest against the King of England occurred in 1774. And they defended the King of England and his loyalists from Holy Court. So it has an awful lot of history, as well as being a
Tremendous,
church.
rich history. Many things happened there many years ago. That's why I fell in love with it. And
just
it
another
wasn't-
one of the wonderful things you can see in Barnstable.
Yes.
I was able to acquire for $1 quite a few things to praise the museum at that time for $1 just on with the town of Barnstable. And then I acquired the Iana grave site, 7.5 acres of land. I got that from Mrs. Colonna for, believe it or not, $1,000, 7.5 acres of land, which has got the burial site of Iano. So there's a lot of, very briefly, and I don't want to hold you. We've got a tremendous rich history, heritages right along this village. You know, starting from perhaps there, going on all the way up to Comaquid. But anyway, not to hold you.
Well, thank you. Well, our town council representative is here as well, Ann Kennedy, and maybe you'd like to say a few words about the event on Monday evening?
Well, Lou has been spearheading this for many, many years.
Nothing.
11, this is the 11th annual. Our recipient this year is Judith Walden Scarfowl,
Oh,
who,
yes,
as
thank
you
you,
know,
Bill.
is the Commissioner of Baseball, President of the Baseball League, has succeeded, very much like Mercy Otis Warren, has succeeded in a man's world. And she's distinguished herself in many different ways and really, I think, personifies the idea of the Mercy Otis Warren.
Well, what was the idea of the whole thing?
Yep, and we've had some really wonderful recipients in the past. I'm only involved peripheral. He's really, Mr. Cattell has really been the one that spearheaded it, and then Alice George is the wife of the former state representative Thomas George.
George, Alice has been, she's
Yeah.
been the
Chair of the
really
committee.
big help.
So I will be there, and I have a plaque already done from the town of Barnstable.
Great, good, wow. Well, look forward to
That's our
that, guys,
chance,
so
All
we'll
right.
see you Monday
Thank you
evening.
very much.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you for everything.
Always.
Bye-bye. Come with you.
I apologize for being late. I was up in the commissioners' hearing room.
Oh, yes, I know, even I started out there too.
Then I got
But
stopped.
anyway, we all ended up in the right place, so
Yeah.
that's what's important. Well, I think we can move on to our agenda item, unless there's any other, there's nobody there, any other public comment, then we'll move on. This is a review with Joe Berlandi and others regarding the summer stage project on the county complex properties. So we're very interested in hearing about it, Joe.
Thank
so.
you, Madam Chairperson and Member Doherty. We're very excited about it. My name is Joe Berlandi, and I have an office here in town and live in Comaquid. We're involved in a lot of activities in the village, and one of them is the long-range planning committee for Barnstable Village, which is comprised of 2 representatives from the 3 major associations in the village: the Civic Association, the Barnstable Village Business Association, and the Friends of the Harbor. About a year or so ago, the 3 groups got together and said we need to form a long-range planning committee to represent all of us and move forward with some plans that would help beautify the village and create more business for the businesses and also retain the beautiful natural history of the village. So we formed the committee. Doug Mitchell here and Roberta Miller are on the committee, and as our ex officio, and we meet every Friday in my office, which is right across the street, and we've been doing that for over a year. And we came out last year, we had a public meeting in St. Mary's Church, and we published a long-range planning report. I believe we provided you with it, with a lot of things that we would like to see happen to protect and preserve the village. And one of them happened to be a bandstand at that time. And we were thinking of putting a bandstand out on the marshland, and of course that was not well received by the neighbors. So we rethought that, and we decided let's find another location for what we called then a bandstand. Last year we had a music event on your land with your permission, right out here in the grassy area. It was June or July, it doesn't matter, but we had one music event, and a lot of people showed up, community people, family-oriented. We had an awful lot of fun. So we thought, based on that experience, that we'd like to see a more permanent building, a permanent structure, what we call a summer stage. And Doug will describe that, and Dan Ojale is here, our engineer, will go through the engineering plan with you. But my role is basically to give you an overview of where we are, and we've submitted with Mark and I worked on a construction and occupancy agreement, which I trust you have, if not.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of this agreement is that you would allow us, the Barnstable Village Business Association, not the Long Range Planning Committee, the Business Association is an entity, not a private entity. And you would allow us, lease the land, whatever the case may be, and allow us to erect a summer stage, which Doug will show you, for events, music events, which will be coordinated through the Village Association and you. Under this agreement, anyone who wanted to use that would be owned by the Village Association, maintained by the Village Association, insured by the Village Association, and the cost would be theirs. And so basically, we're asking for this agreement to allow us to do this, and we would take over. And then, obviously, you would have a role whenever an event was to be scheduled. We would send you the proposal to make sure that you agree. Clearly, there are not going to be that many events. We're looking at 3 music events this summer, June, July, and August. We will not have that summer stage up in June, more than likely not July, but we're hoping we will have it up and ready for the August, if the commission approves this. After this step, if you approve this agreement, allow us to move forward, we have already met with the town. We met with the site plan approval of every department head in the town. We met with last week, Doug and I. And we're already, and Dan, and we've got a map here, a site plan map, which contains all the information they want. And they'll approve it, but we're not going to submit it until we have your approval. And then we will go before the Old Kings Highway for their approval. So there are a lot of things we have to do, but this is the initial step. And we're hoping that you'll support us because it's really great for the community. Last year, the crowd, the family group were having a lot of fun, and we know what will happen again this year. So that's a general overview. And Doug will explain and describe the structure, and then Dan will describe the site plan. We'll leave copies with the council.
Yeah, hi, I'm Doug Mitchell, Long Range Planning Committee, and my affiliation is with the Friends of Barnstable Harbor. With your permission, I'll slide this plan down and say hi to Dan Ogilo, he's our engineer. And for anybody else who's interested in following along, there's a couple of extra plans here as well.
You might want to give the plan to Steve so that he can...
I can actually see this pretty well.
Can you?
You can? Okay, good, Steve. So, if I may come around, I can point these things out and just a little bit go through this. I think maybe the first thing we should do is get this oriented so that we're not confused. Fill all the words sign. So here's, your hand is on the former jail.
Right.
And as you know, that sits in the hill. And then there's a pretty good slope that comes down to a lawn that's at the top end of the county parking facility. And we would like to take advantage of that slope because it's a beautiful natural amphitheater. And the idea behind the summer stage is a simple construction of an 18 by 24 foot wood, yeah, that's it, platform sitting on concrete piers, just a straightforward wood platform like a wood deck. People, there'll be further infrastructure there, and I'm going to get another plan to show you that, just for orientation. We'll take advantage of this terrific slope. People who get there early can use their lawn chairs around on the relatively flat slope, and people who would prefer to sit in amphitheater style can bring their blankets and sit on the slope and have a good view of the stage. Let me get, that's it, Bill. Is this a flat stage without a covering? I'm going to show you that now, Mr. Commissioner. So we've retained an architect to prepare these drawings. And so here's the flat stage I was talking about. Now, the wide open end, which is a dimension of 16 feet, obviously will face up the hill, so that people sitting on the hill will have a good view of the stage. So this, the tall end of this shed roof is here, and then the back of the stage is here, and this being the back of the stage. So we're going to, on top of the platform, erect a tubular steel frame with a solid roof. And the reason for the solid roof is for acoustic reasons. The initial thought was to do a very nice-looking awning only, but we've been advised that for acoustical reasons it would be good for to have a solid roof on it. So there's a solid shed roof there, and then there's the frame, and then over the frame we'll drape from the roof down. We'll have a back canvas that's can be rolled up. It'll have some windows in it for light, and the same thing on the ends, and then a decorative, typical summer kind of aesthetic for an awning that drops down on 3 sides. We'll need to get some power there for lighting of the stage itself and for the instruments. So that's as simple as it is. And then in the winter, we'll take the canvas down, the rest of it will stay there. And there's been some chat about protecting the stage for the winter sledding activities, which of course we'll do as well. So
Where's the power up here?
there is some power down here that I think we can get to.
Okay, all right, so,
Right.
but you...
We just need to run over and have a box to so people can plug into, and then from that box we'll run some temporary lighting that will come down in the winter as well. It will be hanging from the superstructure.
What about the, are you anticipating, if it's July and August, you're not anticipating, I guess, one nighttime time?
It's 6 to dusk, so if it's 7, if it gets dark, whenever it gets dark, it's not dark, we're not performing during the evening hours, it's during the light day hours, so from 6 o'clock to 7. And as we did last year, and everyone was able to get in their cars and leave.
No.
These 3 trees exist, as you might remember, so you can get an orientation when you can take a look out there.
And this is far enough away from people, from residential,
Right.
you know, yeah, I think this is a good spot for
Yes.
this. And the closest is on the other side of the, we did have some issues with regard to noise from an air conditioner on one of these, in the district court from,
Up on the hill.
well, actually
Up
over
on
here.
Marshall.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, from the court building
The district court
is here.
is here.
Yeah.
And then back over here is some housing.
Marsh
Correct.
Shop. It's off of Marsh Shop, which is off of Finney's.
Right.
Yeah. And there was an issue with regard to noise from an air conditioner, so that would be something you'd have to make sure that you knocked on the door, perhaps, and invited them to the party.
We probably were there last year, I suspect, and we'll make sure we do that.
The other thing I think I should mention is, from the operational point of view, we're planning for the hours of the concert, which is after the county wraps up for the day, to control the traffic in this uppermost tier of parking, and put some traffic control safety forces there, so people can kind of hang around here, and we might have, we're planning to have some of the village vendors have some tables there and serve coffee and ice cream and whatever.
I have a question. In terms of power, would you also want to amplify the music as well?
Yes,
You would?
yeah, most likely.
Most likely, I would think.
Yeah.
Oh, you need a microphone.
We did last year.
Anyway.
We did last year.
We did it last
Yeah.
year, same kind of thing.
And what was my other? So it would only be during the daylight hours? for the
Yes.
most part?
Yeah, it starts at 6, and ends probably around 7:30, quarter to 8 by the time we-
Now, would you authorize any other performers to use this?
Well, I think,
At other
We have-
times?
Well, if they, yes, they would have to come through the village association, and we, under the agreement, are going to submit it to you for your approval. But we're going to be very restricted. I mean, this is really a summer stage for the community, no politics, and none of
What?
that. Well, we can make an exception, Commissioner.
No, we can't.
I know, no one, I'm guessing, but it'll be limited. It'll
Yeah.
really be limited, and it's for the community.
Well, it's for the community, so if the community supports it, then
Right.
Yeah,
there's
it's-
likely
and
not to
since
be
we
a
have-
problem.
Yeah, if it's a
Except-
good-
We have the premier representative of the community in Barnstable Village sitting right here.
Yeah.
What does the community think?
I think it's important that, that we stress, it's from 6 to 8, it's well within the noise ordinance. And last year, it rained and there were people there.
Really?
And it was very
That's great.
exciting. And the idea of using the village vendors, like having Smitty's ice cream, and maybe shellfish or something like that, and sell t-shirts, whatever. Very low key, but still very family oriented. So the people that I've spoken to, people that were there last year loved it. Wanted to know when it's going to be this year, so, yeah.
I would think it would be a great success.
I think one thing that, when I originally spoke to you, I didn't realize there was going to be a permanent roof, so that's, but the one thing I think is good about the canvas is that it can be rolled up so that visually from 6A, you really be able to see right through it, so it's not going to look like a shed on the top of the hill.
Mhm.
So,
Cologne is called, they have a shed at Tanglewood, which is quite famous.
Right.
Okay, so that's, you know, I don't think a shed is a pejorative term at all.
No, you're right.
Well, you know, I lived in Falmouth a couple of years ago. The town redid the, what they call the band shell. There used to be a band shell down in Marina Park. Now it's the music and performance pavilion because it's upgraded to with a roof and power and lights and the stage and all that. And it's just used all the time, really, by the band
They
and
take on a
others.
life
It's great.
of their
And it
own.
just brings people together in the summer where they want to be.
The children, a lot of children, you know, they want to get out and they want to see and music, and kids are flying their kites last year on the grass. It's a really wonderful thing to see, very, very nice.
And the idea is also to retain some of your employees, some of the county employees, from just coming in, working here, and leaving, you know. We'd like them to interact with the village, shop in our stores,
Sure.
you know, stay and enjoy the concert.
And no charge, right?
Oh, it's free of charge.
And no charge, right.
Yeah.
Right,
So
thank
it's
you.
not a money-making thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to ask whether you would like me to leave these with you?
I think that would be very helpful, because here's what I think we're going to need to do. We don't have on our agenda today to vote to approve the contract, so we'll have to do that next week. I would assume, because we will have,
And we should also talk to Mark as well.
yeah, and Mark couldn't be here today. His son had an injury, and
Oh, wonderful.
he was hospitalized, and then he had some kind of medical issue today, so Mark had to leave and go get him. So he isn't here. But I will make sure that this is on our agenda for next week, so that we've had an opportunity to really review the contract, and we can actually vote it then, because we will have to vote that
Would you
contract.
like
Should we
to
be
see-
here?
would you like-
I think it's a good idea if you
We'll be
can.
here. We'll be
I
here.
don't-
To be-
Wait a minute, we're meeting,
Yeah.
We're actually
well, we
meeting-
haven't set the time for next week's
We've already
meeting,
set the agenda for Friday.
for Friday, but not
And
for,
not for the 13th.
but not for- you won't be here?
No,
That's right. But you've heard this, so,
And I certainly,
You currently had it set for not meeting next week. I don't know if you're going to
13th?
be anything on yet. There was
for
nothing
not
set.
being here next week?
That was the notes that we had discussed. I've not said if you can't meet, I'm just saying that there was nothing set because Bill wasn't going to be here.
okay.
Is it possible to put it on the agenda for
Yeah,
Friday?
it is, because it.
Yeah, I'm just
until we get
thinking it's
approval.
48
No,
hours.
it's
It's still within the 48-hour limit, so we actually could.
But, you know,
Only because we can't move forward with
right,
that.
you know,
I know.
Site plan review might approve it, but, you know, contingent upon, but other than that, we felt
Yeah, we have-
Well-
No.
Why don't we make an amendment to the,
Yeah.
if I might suggest, we make an amendment to Friday's agenda,
Yeah.
because this is just a pass-through once Mark gives it, you know,
Why don't we put it on the agenda first? Because our agenda Friday is an executive session.
okay, put it before we got the
I think
executive
it's in it.
session. So that'll go.
No, it's not. It's an open, well, let's put it on first at 3 o'clock for Friday.
Okay.
Should only take 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And,
I can ask Mark to go.
If I have- yeah, if I have, yeah.
yeah,
Make
we'll-
sure that
and
Mark
we'll
is
do it
here,
Friday,
But even if
the,
he's not here, he could give us, basically give us
Yeah.
a blessing and saying that he's reviewed it and
Yeah,
has
let's
no-
do that.
no
But-
issues that we should.
it won't be here, it'll probably be up the hill. won't it?
Don't confuse me now.
I know.
We're meeting
It'll be
Friday
over at the county
We all
commissioner's
were up there,
office.
so-
Okay.
It'll be in your
We
meeting
all
room.
were there.
In the little meeting room where the commissioners used to meet. The living room, as I call it.
2 o'clock?
No,
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock Friday afternoon.
3
This-
o'clock
this
Friday
coming
afternoon.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
I will not be here only because I'll be in San Diego visiting my son, but Doug and
Oh.
Roberta and Cam and Dan. I don't want you to
Okay.
think my absence is because I'm not interested.
Right, I know you're not, you are interested, rather, not
The terms
interested.
with,
Yeah, well, no, you don't, you don't.
Good.
All right, so I think that would be.
Yeah, so that's what we'll do. So
Appreciate it.
we take this under advisement until Friday, and we'll vote on it this Friday.
Appreciate your time.
Oh, you're very, well, we appreciate all the time and effort that you put into this.
And I also
I'm
appreciate.
sure this will be very well received.
Come at our meetings.
oh,
We always
thank you.
Yeah.
enjoy, always enjoy your.
If I can
meetings.
find them,
We
or
always-
keep moving
yeah.
around on it.
All right, Madam Chairwoman, I'll leave this with you.
Very good.
Those are those two drawings.
Okay.
Please, this is the smaller version of that, you're welcome to keep it as well.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. I think this is.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I'll see you both on the 11th,
On the 11th? Yes, we will.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, yeah. Great.
You just gave me that, didn't you?
Certainly. Okay, we're going to take a brief recess because we are going to move into another meeting, another agenda. Wastewater with Paul Niedzwiecki and Andrew Gottlieb. The floor is yours.
Great. Well, as you probably know, Andrew and I have been making the rounds. So we've been hitting the boards and selectmen independently, and I've been doing these. We've been doing these sort of Saturday morning wastewater sewer sparks, sort of like
Sewer socials.
the sewer socials in
We
downtown.
haven't been providing food. Maybe why.
But we've hit eight towns on Saturdays. We've been to 11 boards of selectmen. So within the next 30 days, we will have hit the towns 45 times in the first 6 months. So that's our sort of personal outreach effort, and that will continue as the collaborative sort of starts to put together its public process and continues that effort. Having said that, we have had a meeting with EPA and DEP this week, so we've discussed the situation with them, and EPA's been giving us a lot of technical assistance and they've been helping out. And then there are some issues related to the lawsuit that we'll probably take up in the executive session. But before that, I don't know if you've seen have you seen the watershed MVP? I don't think you've seen it. Yeah, I mean, if we could, I just want to show you a little bit of what we showed EPA. So if we could hit the lights. Part of what, part of the chatter around a lot of this stuff implies that the county has some sort of big plan. But I want to show you sort of what we've been working on for the last 6 months, which is, really sort of came out of the Yarmouth experience, watching these things, these comprehensive wastewater management plans on town meeting floor and watching them collapse. It became, you hear the same questions over and over again, and they're good questions. I mean, they're questions that should be asked, but it's very difficult in the town meeting context to answer them quickly and expedite the discussion. So we came back and we decided that we had enough data to work on a tool that the towns could use as a planning tool, but also as a tool of communication tool for public policy purposes. And so Jay Dachins from our GIS, Strategic Information Office, has been working with a number of other people in sort of a team effort to put together what we call the Watershed MVP. The MVP stands for Multivariate Planner. And this is a tool that will allow towns for the first time to go on a parcel-specific basis and then choose a treatment option when they're considering how to sort of deal with a particular watershed. So Jay's going to run us through and show you a little bit about what this does. Where are we?
Bass River,
This is the Bass River, one of the sub-watersheds in the Bass River.
Yarmouth side.
Yarmouth side.
Currently, we only have 3 towns worth of parcel data in the watershed MVP. We have Sandwich, Barnstable, and Yarmouth. Those towns we picked initially also because they would be data that we got earlier, and also they were contiguous, so we could start looking at watersheds that cross town boundaries and weren't just stuck in one town or another town. I did zoom into one town here, but essentially the user can go to a watershed level or a sub-watershed level, which I've picked here, or they could actually just draw a polygon and select any number of parcels that they choose. What I've done is zoomed into a selected sub-watershed that the MEP has delineated, and those dots are showing the parcels that are in that sub-watershed, and then the water use of those parcels. Larger dots meaning more water use, and smaller dots meaning less water use. The other things that we can toggle for are for wastewater flow. And then we can look at the nitrogen load of those parcels. And then also another kind of little thing we added in was to look at what the land use would be for those parcels. So which ones are residential, which ones are commercial. Again, here there's a chart here on the side that shows how much is commercial, how much is residential You can toggle through and it'll highlight what the percentage is. And we have a toggle for a town-wide selection, or like I said, a watershed, or we can go down to the sub-watershed level. And then, let's go back to wastewater flow. The other thing we do is, this is just what the existing conditions is. We've built in a 25-year horizon build-out scenario that's on these parcels, on each parcel's data. So now what I can do is I can toggle into this future scenario, and then I can open up the chart. And so what we have here is what the existing wastewater flows were for this parcels, and then what we're predicting the future, depending on the build out, of what that flow would be for that if no action is taken. So mostly single-family residential in that area, a little bit of commercial growth. And then, come on. You want to run a scenario?
Yeah.
Okay. So then where this tool becomes really powerful is we can run what we're calling the planning scenario. Now, let me move over to nitrogen load while we're here. Back down. So say we want to figure out how much nitrogen we can take out of this subwatershed system, and we want to incorporate a variety of systems within this subwatershed. What we can do is create a new scenario. I'm going to build a scenario off of existing conditions. And then with this treatment factor dropdown, I can select a couple of treatment options that we have built into the system already. The red is septic Title V system, and then we go down to it, individual IA system, single stage cluster, enhanced IA, two-stage cluster, and then we get into the larger facility, satellite facility, and then the centralized facilities. So essentially what we're going to do is I'll just select this single stage cluster, and then with this tool I can manually draw a polygon around the parcels that I want to assign a single stage cluster to. And then I can pick, let's do an enhanced IA on here. And I can draw another polygon, a little touchy. Around another set. So here's my enhanced IA. Here's a single type, cluster. Then I can run my scenario. And here's the chart that I was showing you before. This was the existing conditions, nitrogen levels, future predicted on the build out. But with this treatment option, I've already decreased the nitrogen load so much. And here is the relative cost that we are predicting for that system. So this neighborhood that's enhanced IA, or single stage cluster, 1.4, and then the enhanced IA, 4.4. So total cost at the top of 5.8.
5.81.
million. But that's total cost overall.
What's an enhanced IA? Sound-
It has to do with certain parts per million that we think that it can remove.
Oh,
It's-
I
it's some of the
see. Oh,
newer
it's
stuff,
not
like-
a-
It's like the nitrate systems that George is
Okay.
taking a look at all over the place.
So the values of it are already in there? And
Yeah,
then-
all the values, the cost numbers come from a 2010 Barnstable County cost report that the county had put together that looked at actual spending on actual systems in the area. So it's as up to date as we can be on the cost scenarios. So this is still in a beta version. We debuted it at Smarter Cape a couple of weeks ago. But when it's done, these cost estimates will show up on graphs. So you'll be able to do even the same area, pick 3 different treatment methods, for example, and it will show you the relative costs associated with the different treatment options and the amount of nitrogen reduction associated with each one.
As you do that, that scenario sounds like it's, one application of the whole system. Is there any, in looking at it, because it looks like you can sort of drill down and take a look at more sensitive areas, like in that area, you've got some obvious open water areas. Can you, do you have a scenario that would give you mixed application?
That's a mixed application right there. There are 2 different treatment options that is selected by the polygon.
Yeah.
We can break it down on parcel specific. So wherever there's a parcel line, actually with the centroids up there, we can draw polygons around any piece of geography on the Cape.
So we could give, if I understand this, we could give an individual homeowner a sense of what it would cost him to participate in this, if he made the changes.
Ultimately, this is the sort of land use aspects of it, and it's linked to the cost model, because we're building a rate model right now. And so the rate model will be linked to the end. And so when you select a rate jurisdiction, we will be able to go from a degraded water quality situation in the bay to a process where either a town, an engineer, an average citizen superimposes their own thoughts about how to solve it, selects their own individual treatment methods and applies them where they think it's appropriate, and then spreads costs, like how much on the general tax levy, how much on the betterment, and come up with a per household cost associated with that particular scenario.
And you're making that, so I understand it, and you're making that decision, that's something that's done in conjunction with the individual owner or owners and the local community, meaning in this case, the town of Yarmouth.
It could be done by anyone except us, which is the opposite of what's being portrayed publicly. This is not a top-down plan where we've designed a plan and we're going to push it on anyone. We have designed a tool that allows you to sort of go in there and make your own decisions about treatment options. So it's the opposite. But it does get to the issue of trying to move these issues on town meeting floor. Because when someone stands up on town meeting floor and says, well, why didn't you do this there? You have a tool now that can instantly show them what the effect of doing this there would be.
So this, in effect, is to provide the authority to an individual or to the community, and is not creating an authority to do that.
No credibility.
It's
not
a tool. We're once again supporting decentralized local decision-making as it relates to treatment options. I mean, there will be areas where I think regional economies of scale will come to bear on advocating for additional resources, on a monitoring program. But on the selection of treatment options, we believe that the more decentralized those decisions are, the more likely people are to invest in them. And this tool facilitates that discussion. So I think that it is an important scientific tool or important technical tool for us. We'll use it to evaluate CWMPs. Certain engineering companies have already come forward and asked us to use it. Certain towns want us to come back and use it. But it is, more importantly in my estimation, a tool, a public communication tool. So we'll be able to take very complex capital projects now, present it in a way that's web-based, that's much easier for people to digest and understand.
No, the thing that's missing out of this is that, this is a rational approach. It's an engineering, say an engineering data, fact-based, but there's the element of urgency.
Yeah.
And how do we communicate the urgency to support motivation to act on this?
It's a great question, and I will say, because it references a meeting that we had with EPA earlier in the week. EPA has put together a triple bottom line model for the Narragansett Bay watershed, where they can show the relationship between the environment, the economy, and the people, community stakeholders. Theirs is a predictive model, and we agreed with them earlier in the week, and they are going to pay for a collaborative effort where they're going to take that model and build a model for us on the Cape. And it will do exactly that. It will show people what a no-action scenario will be over 10 and 20 years. And that's exactly the discussion that we need to have, because a no-action scenario doesn't work, and an overbuilt, federally mandated action doesn't work either.
I want to get back to a bit on the science, the MEP models. And and all of the sometimes questions that people have, they agree, they don't agree.
Right.
They were done 2 years ago, they're not relevant anymore, so where are we? So if you have 3 watersheds, and the MEP model said one watershed has 98 parts per million, one has 75, and one has 56, or something like that. That was the science, say, 2 years ago. And you're using the tool, it doesn't matter in a way. I shouldn't say it doesn't matter. You have to know that what the numbers were when you started out, but you also know that you probably want to get down to 5 parts, or 3 parts, or
Yeah.
10, or whatever. So it isn't going to be, well, suppose, I guess if you had one estuary where it was the 98 parts per million, and you use the tool, would it cost more to reduce the nitrogen level in that estuary because it had a higher level to start with, and maybe the estuary that only had 50, it would cost less? So I'm trying to get the relevance of the science, and it's to kind of make it not go away, but to use it more wisely.
This is not based on the MEP. It is a separate nitrogen calculator. We developed the algorithm in-house. But we have checked it with the MEP to confirm that it's accurate, and it does work. And we've had discussions with Brian Howes about linking the MEP process and this, because this will allow him to get updated land use sort of information faster. We think in collaboration we'll be able to turn around modeling runs quicker. And the other thing you have to keep in mind is that when you get an MEP map now and it says you have to remove a certain percentage of nitrogen per watershed or sub-watershed, that represents one modeling run. And it's not necessarily a run that was done with cost as a driver. This allows you to do any number of preliminary modeling runs up front before you close on one and then send that over to MEP to have them sort of run the final numbers on it. So this represents a land use database and a regional build-out that the state legislature gave us $150,000 to put together last year. So it saves towns the money on build-out. It allows them to have more sophisticated conversations with their engineers. Most of the towns don't have wastewater policy experts. They appropriate money at town meeting. They hire engineering companies. They come in and they become the de facto wastewater policy planners. And we all know engineers, they're fairly conservative people. This allows a town or the decision makers in a town to look at a number of different scenarios and ask more directed questions and give better guidance to the engineers that are out there. So it has the initial ability to save a great deal of money for towns that are going forward with local planning processes. But it also makes it easier to understand as we go forward. And ultimately, when we get towards the end of the year, we are going to have a list of treatment options that are going to cover all alternatives, from eco-toilets, composting toilets, through centralized systems. And to the extent that we can get good information on the amount of nitrogen removal, cost per pound of nitrogen removal, and the land use characteristics in which we believe that option is most likely to succeed, we'll be able to plug any one of them.
So the cost per pound actually will be that.
Yeah, and then this does a couple of other things as it relates to the land use model being able to select potential effluent disposal sites, or to select sites based on land use criteria for alternative projects. We're working with EPA, we've got technical assistance request in to look at alternative pilot projects and places to do them. And this also looks outside of the MEP area. So this will allow us to do any sort of modeling run anywhere on the Cape. So this is sort of what we've been working on, and it is the opposite of a centralized approach. It's empowering local decision making.
And this might have already been stated, but in some watersheds, we know that there's more nitrogen to be removed
Yes.
necessary. So that's factored in, like,
Yes.
for this to be successful, we have to remove this much nitrogen.
Mm-hmm.
Say it's 20% out of a 60%. So that's calculated
Yes.
in here. So what you're saying to people is, if we do nothing and maintain this way, nothing gets fixed.
Right, it gets worse.
And it gets worse. And then you can predict that as well, if nothing has happened and we do build out and
This
it's
is not a
10.
predictive model. So this
Okay.
is it's not a predictive model right now. The model that we're going to collaborate with EPA on, the triple bottom line model, is a predictive model. It will give you estimates of what will happen over a period of time if you take certain remedial actions and solutions. Ultimately, this model, which is much more granular, the EPA model is up at about 30,000 feet. This is right around, this is parcel specific. You can't get more specific or granular in this model. Ultimately, they may meet at some point. We're going to work them in parallel right now, but we will be able to show people what the no-action scenario would look like, and then we'll be able to run very specific approximations of what different treatment options would be available. And this is how we can build the smallest possible footprint by the number of different scenarios and how fast we can run them. What this also does, we've been in front of these boards of selectmen in Chatham, which is done, and we've already put some pipes in the ground, and Mashpee, where they've got a lot of planning that's been done to this year, they want us to come back because they see the value of the tool in having discussions with their neighbors that they share watersheds. Because when you're talking about the potential going forward of maybe a requirement that towns that share a watershed have a memorandum of understanding on how they're going to allocate nitrogen and deal with it. This is the place to have that discussion. So that it starts off that kind of intermunicipal cooperation that we're going to need to see, given that 2/3 of the affected watersheds cross town boundaries.
Right, so you have two towns together. One town could actually house, I guess for another word, the treatment, if there was going to be
Yep.
a treatment facility, but the other town sees the benefit through this, so that helps them work out their shared costs on that model as well.
If they could agree to a shared infrastructure approach, there would obviously be savings in having one piece of infrastructure on many, but it goes even beyond that. If you look at Eastham, for example, in Pleasant Bay, or even Sandwich and Papaneset Bay, their contributions are small. It could be that those towns just pay money and build no infrastructure.
Right.
But these are the kind of discussions that the tool allows you to have pretty quickly.
What's troubling to me is that in Harwich, they're building a regional school, building a regional high school, and they're not taking into account the fact that the system that they're putting in is specific for the school and not open for, squaring away a local restaurant, and also planning for joining the center, let's say, the center of Harwich into where the school is. Because the solution in Barnstable, for example, at Horace Mann, when they did that enlargement, was that they were able to support the addition of an affordable housing development in order to support the the needs of the capacity when you want it. Now, what do we do as a regional planning agency to take a look at that kind of a project in order to, let's say, in order to find out if that consideration is one that has some, let's say, has some meat to it, or do we just have to accept what the town is going forward on?
We don't have to accept it. I think in the past it's been difficult because the commission's role in wastewater today has really been regulatory. When a town comes forward with a comprehensive wastewater management plan, we review it jointly with MEPA, and that's what we've done. In a regulatory capacity, we're reactive. We can't suggest a particular way that they should go about removing it. We can only measure it against standards we have and say, yes, it complies with these standards or it doesn't. This gives us the ability to be more proactive going forward. But the Cape Cod Commission Act itself is clear in the authority it gives to coordinate capital planning efforts Cape-wide on regional issues. I mean, it's very clear. And I think the authorization in the Act goes beyond simply reviewing them as DRIs. So I would expect that as we move forward, and we're getting ready to issue, instead of waiting to the end of the calendar year for the regional plan, we're going to issue it iteratively. Because they're in this void. It's being filled up with just a tremendous amount of misinformation, just absolute falsehood. So we're going to start to get the report out within a couple of weeks. We'll have an interim report out.
Good. Okay.
And so we'll hit the street with that, and it will start to it will provide more guidance to local planning efforts about what the expectations will be when they are reviewed regionally.
What kind of, let's say, communication? I know that we're talking to the towns, and we're talking to the boards of selectmen, and we have I guess we have a back channel communication with the planning departments within the town. in a general way, without being, without being specific as to any particular town, what kind of support are we getting from the local planning departments within the town with regard to the things that we're proposing?
Yeah, I mean, we are working closely. A lot of towns have citizen advisory committees that they put together. We've been in front of a lot of those. We showed them sort of the beta version of the tool. So we are cooperating with them, but they are operating under an existing regulatory structure that's 35 years old and produces certain predictable results. And so they're sort of locked in that. They're also, they see the town lines as absolute demarcations that they cannot violate. And so that's the biggest problem that we have. Because they can't think beyond their own boundaries, we are moving towards independently planned systems that ultimately will overbuild the Cape and overcharge taxpayers. And
No, wait, who's doing that? Not us.
no,
The towns are.
The towns
Town,
are.
okay.
Well, but it's not their
It's not
fault.
their fault, it's the
It's the process.
regulators.
It's
What I'm bringing that up for is that I think that that's where the miscommunication and misunderstanding occurs. Okay, is that particular issue is being visited to us as a regional planning entity with a responsibility to look at it.
Yeah.
And yet, the responsibility for managing that is still residing under this 35-year-old plan at the town.
But Bill, you know, the example that you gave, where a school is being built, that so much of the thinking and the planning for things like schools, they have a silo approach because the reimbursement is through the school building authority and nowhere else. So if you want to build a treatment plant for a school, that I would assume that the school building authority would reimburse a portion of that for the school. But if you wanted to make it larger to account for a housing complex or some town building or something like that, the town would have to come up with the rest of it. But oftentimes the towns don't even think about that because they think they're planning for a school and that's all they really think about.
They're within that structure.
Actually,
They don't think about it, well, maybe not, maybe.
Actually, the issue is this, is that when Horace Mann made their requirement, it was for the capacity of the school, and they had, in the fact that, the school's only there 8 hours a day, they needed to have flow, and that they did not have to build it larger, they just had to use the existing capacity in order to make it more
In
efficient.
Horace Mann, they had a treatment facility associated with the school that was not working properly because they didn't have enough consistent flow. So they
Which
also.
schools have anyway
Right,
because
but-
of the summer, when no
Exactly.
one's there.
But they also had an affordable housing
Mhm.
project that was next door that needed to treat its effluent. So this was decided to be a good thing to put them together. Unfortunately, the average sewer cost in an affordable housing unit was like over $1,200 per unit,
Yeah.
which is not affordable. So there were some financial issues around that. But Pat's issue around financing these projects is exactly where we want to go. And you hear all this sort of, the ability to issue bonds and taxing region-wide. Ask these towns, when the solutions approach hundreds of millions of dollars, how they're going to swallow that under their 2.5 cap. What are they not going to do if they can't get an override and they're mandated by a court to clean up the problem? So, the only thing, I'd like to remind people that the county has no ability to create any entity. Cape Cod Commission has no authority to compel towns to do anything on wastewater. So the only thing that we can be doing on a regional level is having a discussion.
Well, part of the discussion, if I may, is that the Patrick administration has done what I'd call some very positive things in looking at consolidation of different agencies to reduce the amount of silo effect that occurs, and that perhaps what our role is how do we communicate with the executive branch that this particular consolidation of activity, so that you're not having the school department, let's say in the housing needs and the other commercial and let's say in the DPW, those sorts of things, all operating independently, looking for their own income stream. How do we help the the agencies that we're looking for to support help us integrate that so that we are getting to an outcome that we're talking about that is both effective and cost efficient. So I think that's a piece that we have to follow.
Yeah, that's a topic for another day, because we're really
Yeah.
over the time
Yeah,
that
the
we've allowed.
the burden on us is to show people with tools like this, what the smallest possible footprint, what the least costly solution would be. And that's really what the effort that's underway we're trying to do.
It's a great tool. That's
Well, thanks for your effort. Thank you
very
very much.
helpful to everyone. Thank you
So
very
you
much.
will have an interim report for us? You'll put this in writing and give us something of where you
We're
are?
going to issue sort of an executive summary as it relates to the plan, so to lay out what's going to happen to the plan. Are you asking for something?
If what you're talking about is sort of an interim report on where we are in this evaluation of regionalized option, if that's something you want,
I think it would be a
we
good
can
thing.
produce that.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
In,
next week.
next week, you'll have it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great, thank you.
In that case, we are going to adjourn our regular session, and we are going to go into executive session.
Are we coming back up?
And no, so the motion would be to
Well,
go
wait a
in,
minute, we still have, how are we going to do those things?
oh, we have to do the summary of actions, you're right.
Yeah, and
Well, then a motion to approve this summary of actions
wait a minute.
without the minutes first. We'll do the summary of actions, and then we'll do the minutes.
where is Mark? Is he here?
Not Mark is up there. Do you have questions?
I did, I thought I just saw something about the strategic information office on here, did I? Or was I just looking at it so fast that
I don't believe we will.
Just as a scheduling matter, I mean, I would love to come back to you maybe even next week to talk about the strategic information office and where we are with that.
That's a very good idea, let's do that.
This watershed MVP is one component of that, but e-permitting is sort of chugging along too, so we'd like to come over and give you an update.
What you saw is number 33, which you want to hold, executed
I wanna hold
intermunicipal
that.
agreement for IT services.
I want to hold that, I want to talk to Mark about that, I want more information on that.
33?
Number
Number
33.
33.
It
We
says
need,
execute amendment to beach monitoring?
no,
program?
33 is
number 30,
execute an intermunicipal
For
agreement.
information technology services
And we
between
don't
Barnstable
have,
County
we
and.
do not have a copy of that contract.
Yeah,
which we will
well,
need.
Bob Troy sent us something, but I want to go over that. I'd like to have more
Which
information.
33 are you talking about? I'm looking at the summary.
33,
33, on mine is the,
oh, you have a different one.
I don't know why you have a different one. This is the one I'm speaking of.
Is yours 33?
Yep.
yeah, I thought we approved that before.
I
No,
just
we have
want to
not
have
approved it.
information.
We have not even received information on it.
No, I'd like to have a presentation on what that's all about.
All right, so then you would move to approve all items up through 41 with the exception of 33.
I'm
And we can hold that.
I'm going to have to demur until I see a copy, because I have, mine goes,
We're meeting again on Friday.
Yes,
Can we move this until Friday?
we can.
I mean, is there anything that has to be?
No, we can take it up on Friday.
I would propose that we review, that we.
Well, no, we can't because it's not on the agenda. It's too late.
Today's still 48 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's past 48 hours.
Okay.
You don't have time to
No, we don't. We'll
We
have to
could,
put it
you
on
can
for
put
Wednesday.
amendments on the, as long as you have the meeting time, you can always do amendments on what's going to be added up until the time of the meeting.
Well,
You can
yes,
add to
if
the
it's,
agenda.
if it's something that wasn't considered, I guess you could, yeah, you could. We could add it as a revised agenda.
I would just like, yeah, I would just like to put it on as an amendment, and she can put that out now, that we're tabling this until
okay,
Friday.
no, I see, I have it as 34 on this
And
one.
we can
Okay.
raise 33. All right, all those in favor?
With the exception of no.
Okay, so now that you have it, you're fine?
Well, I printed this off the internet just before I came over to this meeting, so we might want to
This was given to us at the beginning of the meeting.
Right.
Right,
So-
and apparently it's an adjustment. Well, okay, I guess so.
So, yeah, so if you're comfortable with the whole list now, Bill, then I would move all of the items on the summary of action other than number 33.
Well,
I'd like to hold that for Friday
but
for
a minus
discussion.
34.
Or-
Read the language.
Well,
The
let's
language is
use
to execute
this
the
Okay,
document
so, all right,
here.
so just so I'm talking about this right thing. So we're not going to move executing intermunicipal agreement for information technology services between Barnstable County and Town of Wellfleet.
Until Friday. We're going to move that until Friday.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
So you second the motion?
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
All right, now the minutes.
I'll move-
Shirley, you know, you can move the minutes of May 16th.
Yes.
So you and Sheila can vote on the minutes of May 16th, I was not here.
That's
So
right.
if you move the minutes,
I second.
those in favor?
Aye.
And I'll abstain. The minutes of May 9th and May 23rd, Bill was not here, so you and I have to approve those minutes.
So I will move that we approve the minutes of May 9th and
May 9th and May 23rd.
May 20.
I will second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Two in favor, one abstention.
So we all have to date.
We're up to date.
And
And we can,
do we have anything from the county administrator?
no, we don't have any reports today.
Okay, and then just one thing, I did go to MMA yesterday, and the issue was how do housing authorities communicate with the local towns? And I was able to tell them that on the Cape at least, where there was good communication among the housing authorities and board of selectmen. I believe that your town housing authority is communicating with the board of selectmen, and I know that Howard, that we regularly communicate with the board of selectmen. As a matter of fact, two of the spouses of select people that are on the board, so I think I have too. Okay, that's all I hold.
Have we concluded the agenda items for today?
Then I would move
In
that
that
we go
case,
into executive session.
And not return to open
You're
session?
staying for executive session.
Mm-hmm.
I'll stay too.
And not return to open session?
Let's put a wire under
A
that chair.
motion, is that your motion?
Right, invisible.
Would you second the motion,
Second.
please? And please vote by roll call.
Doherty, yes.
Lions eye.
Flynn, aye. Okay, thank you all very much. We'll probably see